looks like we're live here. Welcome to the first official Session 0 for Gold XP Studios. I'm really excited to be here. This has kind of been in the works for a while, something my friends and I have been talking about doing for a while, a couple months now, and we're really excited to get the ball rolling. Go ahead and introduce myself first and foremost. I'm your Dungeon Master, Corey Carvelli, and I'm going to take some friends on a fun little homebrew 5th edition adventure over the next couple of months with you guys. I'm very excited to take you guys on part of that journey. I'll go ahead and, without delay, introduce our players. Let's go ahead and start with in alphabetical order. Our first player, Aloy Ventus, an Air Genasi sorcerer, ranger, multi-class, is being played by my good friend Levi Osawe. Levi is actually a first-time D&D player. He started playing last year in our campaign. Originally started as a one-shot, and it kind of snowballed into what it is today, and I'm very excited for him to be here. Aloy is a rather charismatic, rather bold individual, I guess you should say. He can talk with his words, but a lot of times his actions stand out more than the words he uses, if that's a good way to use him. He is a Draconic Bloodline subclass for Sorcerer, and he has decided to go with Drake Warden Ranger as his Ranger subclass. Next up, we have Brianna Farts. Brianna Farts is a Goliath Barbarian Paladin multi-class as well. She is being played by another good friend of mine named Daniel Gilbert. Dan is also, well, he's not new to D&D. He's been playing for a little bit. He's been playing for about a year or two, along with Levi in this campaign, along with myself. And I'm pretty excited for you guys to see Brienne's character and what she brings to the table. Believe it or not, sometimes she's one of the more level-headed characters in the group, despite being a barbarian with horrible anger problems. She is also she was a warrior who was banished from her home in the city of, it was originally named Farts, but has been renamed to the city of Phaethos. However, Brienne, after taking back her city from the corrupt hands of a tyrant, she was named king of the nation of Plogeron, which is where our story will take place. But more on that later. I do believe that Brienne is an Oath of the Crown Paladin multi-class, but originally started as a Path of the Ancients Barbarian. I'm very excited for you guys to fall in love with Brienne, see what she has to offer to the game. Next up, we have Ariel. Ariel is a druid rogue multi-class as well, and she's being played by Zumara Miranda, who is Dan's girlfriend. This is actually her first time playing D&D as well. She's the newest member of our campaign. I'm very excited for you guys to get to know her. Arya is a Circle of Stars druid, as well as a thief rogue multi-class. Very excited for you guys to see what she can bring to the classes and to the table. Almost instantly, when she got on board, she immediately started having memorable scenes, interacting with players in funny and creative ways. So I'm very excited for you to see what she can bring to the table. Arya is a kind of dark soul, young, about 15 years of age, as a tiefling, and she was orphaned at a young age and was raised inside of an ancient forest on the continent of Plogeron. However, deep mines that resonated deep below the surface, minerals deep and dense below the ground, were discovered in the area of the forest, and so the forest was deeply uprooted and set ablaze and destroyed when the few survivors that remained in the forest had to abandon it to the nearby city of Trulith and learn how to survive on the streets like Arya did. Next up in our list of Motley Crue characters, we have Vulgrim Dusklight. Vulgrim Dusklight is a deep gnome wizard artificer being played by another good friend of ours named Juwan Wadi. Juwan is new to D&D, but since he started playing last year, he's kind of taken the game by storm, making really creative and honestly rather frustrating characters to battle in combat. Very good min-maxer. Vulgrim is quite the fighter as well as a spellcaster. He is a Bladesong wizard, as well as a battlesmith artificer. Vulgrim is a studious lad who is rather young for a rock gnome at the age of 101. But he decided it was never too late to get an education and decided to go back to school, where he quickly rose to the top of the class and gained attention from his professor, who entrusted him with a design for an ancient product, or not ancient I should say, but a creation that bordered the lines between science and magic and was known as the Pepper Box, as some of you guys know it from Exandria and other fantasy worlds now. But he's the first and only person to successfully craft a gun in this world. And slowly, surely, over the time of the game, guns will be introduced more. Not like super crazy, but just know they're there. And I believe the only person that I am missing is Gandalf the Dark. Gandalf the Dark is played by my friend Jamal Petty. Jamal's a good friend of mine that I've known since college, and he's been playing D&D for a couple years now. And he is I wouldn't say a min-maxer as much as Juwan and Dan are, but all of them have proficient knowledge with the game and know the ins and outs of creatures and spells and how they work very well. And Jamal is no slouch on that in that regard. Jamal is, if not anybody, he is somebody who reads his spells. I'm very excited for you guys to see what Jamal can bring to the character of Gandalf the Dark. At some point, I'm sure we might have to change everybody's names for copyright reasons, but hopefully not, because, this game started as a fun home game between friends, and I hope it can stay that way for the duration of the game that we're playing. However, like I'm describing to you guys all now, these characters already have their subclasses and everything. We've been playing this game for about a year and some change before we decided to stream it, so these characters are actually, believe it or not, starting this campaign at level 14. Well, technically they're not starting the campaign, but we're starting the stream at level 14. And it is a bit high level, but I'm very excited. So I do believe that we still do a good job of keeping things simplified to the point of if somebody's new to D&D, they can jump on and they can follow along with what everybody's doing, and we try to break things down to make sure everybody knows how spells work and how actions and everything works at the table, just so that way we don't leave anybody confused and everybody's having fun and on the same page. And so hopefully we can do that for everybody at home as well. And that's all of our characters, so I'll go ahead and dive into a little bit of the lore of the world. I have so many tabs open here. Let me pull up my notes real quick. All right. Should have had all of this ready. That's my bad, internet. But anyways, the world Androsmos is an ancient world that has a very dark past. When the world was originally created, the gods all walked amongst the plains freely, to and from as they wished, and they decided to bring life to a barren wasteland that they stumbled upon. And they decided to create these different races, the elves and the dwarves, the gnomes, humans, dragonborn, centaurs. They created a vast plethora of magical races and species, and they left these creatures to do as they wished. As the gods saw them, they were ants amongst their eyes. Whatever they can do, they have no possible way of replicating the things that we can do. We are the gods. These mortals quickly discovered the use of arcane magic via the magical ley lines that laid across the planet. And arcane magic was introduced into the world shortly thereafter. Not long after that, there were powerful wizards in this age that were coming to challenge, whose magic was progressing rather quickly and even rivaling that of the gods. And the gods saw these wizards and spellcasters attempting to recreate the gods' work and took it as both a challenge and a threat. And so the gods and the humans and elves and dwarves of the world, along with the ancient primordial spirits that laid there before the gods, had arrived, did battle. And this is known as the Divergence Wars in the world of Andrasmos. Eventually, after a time, the war had ended. And it had appeared to have been on the mortals' side of failure. Almost all of the primordials had been either slain or sealed away beneath the earth, trapped in other planes, various dimensions, so on and so forth. And the gods, some of them switched sides during the battle, some of them died themselves, some of them had been traumatized from the events that they had seen, decided to leave this plane and put up a divine gate of sorts to no longer meddle in mortal affairs. However, there are still clerics and holy folk and religious people that still pray and worship these gods, that rely on getting their powers from them. So the magic effects of the gods still existed in the world, however, them physically could not return. And so, without the gods and the primordials and limits being placed on arcane practical uses, civilizations began to flourish and sprout and pop out. And one civilization emerged apparently superior to most, and this was the Sylvanic Empire. Originally the nation of Sylvanas, their power and magical influence began to spread and cover almost 2/3 of Andrasmos, until they came to a northern continent of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil, besides from the original main body of Sylvanas, is the largest continent of Andrasmos, and a 100-year war was waged between the Sylvanic Empire and Yggdrasil. Most of it taking place on the soil of Yggdrasil. And after a time, it appears that Yggdrasil had drawn victorious, and the Sylvanic Empire had quickly been diminished, and uprisings had begun in most of the empire, which caused the collapse of this once great force on the world. And once the empire was reduced back to once what it was, the continent of Sylvanas, many countries began claiming independence, and one of these nations being the continent of Plagaran. Plagaran is the newest of these nations, as I was just explaining, and they were originally liberated by a group known as the Divine Visionaries. One of these Divine Visionaries is an ancestor to one of our players, Aloy Ventus. Her name was Allura Ventus, and she was an Air Genasi sorcerer, along with her party of Amber Fastfire, a Centaur Paladin, Amgir, the human fighter. There was also Syndilla Heartbringer, a halfling druid, as well as a Goliath barbarian named Drac the Brave. These warriors and adventurers set out onto the continent to liberate it from the remaining threat of the Sylvanic Empire, as well as help diminish a millennium-long waiting dark power waiting to be unleashed. However, many of them gave their lives in their adventures and in these quests to liberate this great place, as well as diminish the flames of evil. But their sacrifices did not go in vain, and their names have since echoed throughout the course of history. And our story originally found our group of heroes all amongst their weary travels, making their way to the Flowing Faucet Inn of a coastal city known as Eldaria. One by one, our set of intrepid heroes made their way to the bar. And then, out of nowhere, as they were taking their drinks, getting to know one another, an elven man burst into the chamber, gathering on and on about how his employer had gone mad and is attempting to resurrect his dead wife with a powerful dark artifact. Most of them shook him off as a madman, not taking him seriously until the world around them vastly changed. The majority of the patrons of the bar disappeared except for them. All of the lights went out. A dark, dreary sensation swept the entire chamber. Outside, they saw a almost greenish hue of fog roll into the space. As they went out to investigate, they realized that the bar that they had been in had been teleported into a dark, dreary, alternative universe of the one they resided in. This one, the players found themselves in a graveyard. Battle ensued with many undead and zombies, and they fought their way to a castle at the end of the street, where Myers, the half-elf, explained to them that his employer, Fangros, the elf, is going to attempt to bring his wife back with a dark book. They make their way into the castle and solve a various set of puzzles that allow them to enter the basement of the castle, where they find Fangros bent over a table with his wife's dead body on it, with a dark book levitating there in place. A battle ensued where our heroes tried to prevent the resurrection of the undead with this dark book. However, it was too late. They had failed, and the undead body of Lysandra was brought back to life. However, not the same. She was brought back cold, her skin pale, her teeth sharper than they were, her ears pointed. The way she was brought back, she had been transformed into a vampire. And the players then had to slay her before she could go out into the world and set on a new era of darkness. After she was defeated, they destroyed the book and the cause of this dark spell, which sent them back to the world they once knew. However, something that came with them, as the vampire died, the body turned to ash, and what laid in that pile of ash was a silver mirror. The pommel was a silver spiral that spun down and formed into a raven's claw, holding a skull with two ruby eyes. The mirror had lingering magic from it, and the players could sense that this was a very powerful and strange item, so they took it with them and decided to bring it with them on their adventures. From there, they had done some small jobs around the town to help rebuild from the destruction that the spell had caused, and make friends with some of the local townsfolk. During that time, they went out and searched for missing children that they believed to be the cause of owlbears. However, they went to the owlbear's cave and discovered that there was a secret trapdoor at the bottom inside of the cave, which led them into a mysterious underground passageway with many caverns that twisted and turned and careened and went into open spaces and dead ends. And they discovered that there were a horde of goblins living underneath the forest that were kidnapping the local children of Eldaria to sell to a group of dark elves that lived in the Underdark into slavery. As they slayed all the goblins and made their way deeper into the Underdark, they found themselves running upon a human who seemed to be who have escaped from the Dark Elves' grasp, and this man was named Sir Otis, a paladin from an ancient order known as the Order of Fucking Around and Finding Out. And he promised to lead them back in there and help save the rest of the slaves if they could, one, get his gear back at the Dark Elf stronghold, as well as rescue the remaining slaves that were there and prisoners that he could not rescue himself, as he barely escaped on his own. So they all went back and quickly searched the Drow's stronghold, slaying whatever enemies they could in their path. They came across 2 minotaurs in their fight that seemed to be working with the Dark Elves for some unknown reason, as well as a dark elf arachnomancer who had set a deal with the Spider Queen known as Loth to try to bring her back to this material plane. The players then quickly defeated the Dark Elf arachnomancer with the help of Sir Otis, and they went on their way. They returned the children back to Eldaria, where they were told to set out towards the city of Amberstone. From there, they were set out to meet a village elder who could give them some more information on a dark group that has appeared to have been spotted in the area, known as the Tribe of the Horned King. As they were making their way into the village of Amberstone, they came across a halfling ranger passing through the forest in search of his missing sister, who has not been seen in some time. After wandering into the mysterious forest just outside of Amberstone's limits, the party agreed to help him find his missing sister, and from there they found themselves in a dark forest-like maze where the trees almost bound together and made these walls where no one could see, where nothing could peer through them. Not being able to find their way to the center of the maze, these adventurers decided to set ablaze the forest and try to make their way through that way and just let the forest burn. As the forest was burning, many animals and wildlife began to panic and flee the area. As wildlife and deer, rabbits, many magical creatures began fleeing the forest, a loud noise began rushing towards the heroes as a massive Armanite burst through a massive centaur-looking monstrosity with the body of a horse. However, his top part has these massive crooked and barbed horns on the top, these massive fangs, and the tail at the back was 3 long, massive whip-like barbed ends, and the players quickly did battle with it. As they were doing battle with this massive creature, arrows began flying at them from the trees, none of them being able to see the marksman that was launching them. He was just submerged in the shadows. Eventually, they were able to apprehend and slay the archer, ranger, hunter known as Baldura. the leader of the tribe of the Horned King, a dark cult that planned on resurrecting one of the Lords of the Abyss, Baphomet. They were able to put out what fires they could and stop it from spreading as they made their way deeper into the forest and find a massive undead tree that seemed to almost have a massive opening into it where the heroes could go inside and search it, where they discovered almost a man-carved wooden staircase that descended deeper into underneath the tree, and from there they saw the wood switch to stone, and they found themselves again underground, finding their way through this almost man-made tunnel to what looked like a massive cult chamber, where there was a halfling woman tied to an altar with many a human and minotaur and orc around her, chanting dark ceremonial chantings for the Horned King, where her blood was about to be spilt in honor of him. The players, with some quick thinking, were able to break open a barrel of water and use a shocking grasp spell to electrocute everybody in the room except for the halfling girl standing on the stone altar, and they were able to make quick work of what remained of the cultists and rescue the halfling girl. From there, they traveled back to Amberstone, where they met the village elder known as his name was Marcolio. Where they met Elder Marcolio, and he spoke to them about how the ancient Abbey of Amberstone in the village was once had a different name, and the city has been remodeled and renovated, and many reconstructive projects had taken place over the years to change the city's original design and layout. Through old records found in the library, as well as some of the cultists' notes, they discovered that the ancient city of Amberstone was once known as a dark place known as Lazarus, a massive stone structure, almost maze-like city built in honor of the Dark Lord Baphomet, where dark cultists long ago used the city as a way to almost pull him from the abyss into the material plane, but their plans were thwarted by a centaur woman named Amber Fastfire, whom the city of Amberstone was named after. From this, the party realized that they could find more information in the library, where they discovered a hidden passageway to what was, in fact, the tomb of Amber Fastfire. The dead centaur was buried with all of her ceremonial garb and a vorpal longsword that the heroes tried to take with them, but set off a series of traps which alerted many people to their place inside the library, being it a public building. One of these people was being the aide to Marcolio. His name was Bishop Almer, and Bishop Almer was a secret double agent for the tribe of the Horned King, and tried to take what artifacts and scrolls and magic items that the players had found inside of the tomb. A battle ensued where it was a rather intense battle. Many deaths on both sides, whereas Gandalf had fallen in this battle, as well as Aloy. But thanks to Brianna Fartz's strength and durability, the fight was quickly won by the New Order of fucking around and fighting out, which is what the players decided to name themselves. From there, Aloy Ventus planted a bean in the ground, which summoned a massive astral pyramid to slam into the ground outside of Amberstone. From there, the players investigated the pyramid, which almost seemed to be telling a prophecy of a group of heroes that were to set out and help bring balance back into the world. This pyramid that they had been made their way through, they discovered, was the final resting place of a champion of the god Primus, known as Amgir. And once they made their way through all of the rooms of the pyramid, they battled the remains of Amgir's spirit in a mummified form, where the players were victorious. From there, the players were gifted with many a magic item that could help them on their journeys, potentially across the plains, to bring balance to the realms. The players left the pyramid to find it quickly collapse after they leave, and they discovered that Amberstone was being invaded by an opposing force. A dark ruler known as King Buttstallion, who had taken refuge in King's Standing some 20-odd years ago, slayed the old king and made himself the new ruler, decided that the King's Standing was not enough, and he wanted to conquer the rest of the continent. The heroes, not realizing that they are not strong enough to take on the massive number of troops that the king had ordered on into the city, they had to flee, where a Rakshasa-like figure named Kataran helped the players escape through the sewer system. From there, Kataran led the heroes to an inn named the Blue Water Inn, on a hidden smuggler's path. And from there, he made his leave and left the parties to their own devices. And from there, they set out from the Blue Water Inn to the capital of King's Standing to do battle with the king. Along the way, they encountered an ancient silver dragon. They met their arch nemesis in our current BBEG, known as Navana Darkmoor. Navana Darkmoor, at the time, was the current leader of an evil terrorist organization known as the Blackout Company. They were mostly known for seeking out ancient artifacts and other magical items, as well as trying to enhance the progression of magic by any means necessary. And in one instance, their most notorious instance to date, was the calculated massacre of the Ventus clan in the mountain city of Lelyketi. And so our player, Aloy Ventus, is the last surviving member of the Ventus clan that are all Air Genasi. And so, from Lelyketi, they set down south to King's Standing, where a battle ensued, where an alliance of all of the free peoples had gathered to stand up to King Buttstallion in the city of King's Standing. And from there, the players invaded the city and snuck their way up through the 5 districts of the city into the Cloudtop District, the highest peak of the city that was carved into a mountainside. There, they did battle with King Buttstallion, a massive 30-foot tall giant, as well as his 9 King's Guard. An intense battle took place where Vulgrim Dusklight had fell, but was brought back up by the healing hand of Sir Otis, where Arya, the druid rogue, was able to get the killing strike on King Buttstallion and free the land of this tyrannical ruler. Then and there on the spot, it was Brienne who picked up the crown and placed it on her head and said, "I am the new king." During this confusion, well, actually, I skipped a spot. At the beginning of this campaign, there was a different character other than Vulgrim that I skipped a while back that I feel really bad about for not including in my notes. His name is Robin. Robin was Juwan's original character. And during their times, Robin had developed a relationship with the Matron of Ravens and has been her champion, guiding souls to their eternal resting places as her champion. And so Robin has been an NPC aiding in major crisis events, and Robin was at this battle and took Vulgrim into the city to find his parents, who were residents of the city, which was being laid siege to. Vulgrim was able to find his parents and make sure that they were in stable condition before he left to go to his own school and check to see if his professor and any students were there he could help. However, while he was there, he discovered an unlikely duo, Cateron and Navana Darkmoor, rummaging through the notes of Vulgrim's Professor Kesnet in search of his pepperbox designs. A quick scrap ensued inside the school, which saw Navana and Cateron escaping to the throne room of the Cloudtop district, where the rest of the party actually was. Vulgrim and Robin quickly left and tried to make their way back towards the rest of the party, where a battle ensued on top of the Cloudtop district yet again. This time, however, believe it or not, it was more dangerous than ever. Not only was Navana and Cateron present, they also were able to persuade a massive shadow dragon that the party had rescued from the Shadowfell many sessions prior into aiding them in battle. However, Aloy Ventus was able to slay the dragon after a long battle on top of the city, and from there, after the dragon was slain, Brienne beheaded the demonic Rakshasa, and a moonbeam from Arya, the druid, was able to send Navana to her resting place, to her final end. From there, they spent various months traveling amongst themselves, tending to their own devices. Brienne ran her city and tried to rebuild the city after the siege, as well as plague out any corruption from the capital. Vulgrim and Gandalf decided to set up a school for the advancement of magic, one in a lower section of the city where more impoverished and less financially independent people are able to attend it. After a while, Gandalf decided to leave the city again and wander around the continent with a traveler named Jaime Lancaster. Aloy Ventus went back to his city of Leliketti to retake his ancestral home of Ventus Manor, where he has been since rebuilding it and using it as a de facto headquarters for the party. And Arya decided to go back to her home forest and try to rebuild it after the mines that since destroyed it had been running dry. Many months had gone by since the events of the Battle of King's Standing had taken place. Since then, the city had been renamed to Phaethos in honor of the city's heroes, the New Order of fucking around and finding out. From there, the party eventually made their way back into King's Standing, or Phaethos, and meet up with King Brienne. The party had learned that there had been some restricted and forbidden magic being practiced in the northern part of the country, near the wizarding town of Trulith, which is where the Wizard Academy is. The party decided to use the magic circle, the magic teleportation circle from the school in the city to teleport to the school on the northern part of the continent, and so that is what they did. From there, they went to the Wizarding Academy and started investigating professors and students, as well as some of the townsfolk. They learned that there had been a strange group in the forest outside of the city, where Arya's forest was being rebuilt and regrown. There had been, I guess, caravans and random parties attacking people replanting the trees. as well as suspicious movements from the students and faculty as well of the school. The party decided to go into the forest first and investigate these strange appearances from the party. They were quickly able to get the drop on a group of, it looked like mercenaries. Two of them actually being rather familiar to the party. One of them was an NPC that they had met named Theris Branato, which was actually a ploy disguised to gain their trust, as his real name was Theris Nightvale. He was the sister of an NPC. He was the brother of an NPC that the players had killed previously in the earlier sessions of the game, while at his side leading this group of mercenaries was the resurrected zombified corpse of Baldura the Orcish Ranger. A battle ensued where the players were able to submit and gain information from Theris, as he was acting in revenge to try to gain justice for his sister's death. The party did show mercy on him to an extent, allowing him to live. They did, however, take many of his magic items and his personal belongings, as well as Aloy Ventus branding him in the process of allowing him to leave. From there, the group was led by Gandalf with the use of a detect magic spell to detect dark magic in a cave not too far from the village. A little bit back way toward the village, and they make their way inside of the cave, and they investigate it to discover a group of students practicing dark blood magic as well as necromancy spells. The players investigate the students to figure out what they are all doing out here and why they are pursuing this magic. When these two students recognize Gandalf, as a long time ago, Gandalf was a student at the school who had also been kicked out of the school for practicing dark magic, and his reputation has rather grown throughout the history of the Wizarding Academy in Trulith. And so these NPCs, these two students, were very excited to tell Gandalf all about their plans and machinations of the group known as the Red Wizards. The Red Wizards had constructed a secret building, or a secret classroom underground the Wizarding Academy. And they were trying to access... My cat jumped into my lap. Hi, buddy. What was I saying? Oh, yes. The Red Wizards. A long time ago, the Wizarding Academy of Trulith was built over top of a group of temples in an act of defiance to the gods that had since abandoned and tried to lay waste to the world. And so, these temples had long been forgotten to time, and the Red Wizards, through some ancient document or through some other means, were able to learn of the temples. And so they had been trying to gain access to the temples, and with some clever use of magic, the New Order of fucking around and finding out were able to help these wizards access these forgotten temples. However, the temples, unbeknownst to them, had been taken over by a very intelligent and angry beholder, not willing to share his knowledge so freely. And so a battle ensued, where the two lackey sorcerers, or wizards, had perished, and the party had also slain the beholder as well. From there, they discovered many historical secrets from the world, as well as a vast array of magic items and information that, for example, the party these Red Wizards learned of this place from a dark creature known as the Undying King, the Archlich Vecna. While some of the Red Wizards' true intent was to practice unknown magic and advance the arcane arts, many of them use this as a cover to push the agenda of the Undying King and bring the King of Secrets from his prison on the Astral Sea into the material plane. From there, after they finished exploring all of the temples, there was 4 temples in this destroyed area. More red wizards were brought onto the scene, one of them being the leader, or so it appeared to be. Malygos, the leader of the School of Necromancy, attacked the party, and they all did battle in the underground caverns of the city of Trulith. From there, all but one of the wizards were spared, and he was dominated and told to reveal all of the secrets of the cult. From there, he gave a very detailed list of all of the members that were not present, about 25 names. From those 25 names, they recognized almost none except for one, and he was the mayor's son. And so they went to the mayor to warn them of this threat. And a trap was laid to try to draw these wizards out. A party would be thrown. However, 2 locations there would be. One for everybody else, one for the red wizards to go to. And so, in the days in advance for this trap to be laid, the party went about their various devices, trying to gain information about the insight of these wizards, what they could possibly be after other than to bring back this lich. What could they possibly gain from bringing back this lich and gaining more information about the advancement of magic and these forgotten arts of magic? And the day of the party came, and as they lied in wait for their guests of honor to arrive, they didn't. Minutes, hours went by, and they did not show until they saw a group of about 15 in these ceremonial red robes begin to present themselves from the city. All of them. Well, one, there was only 25. There was 15 of them and not the 25. And also, they had noticed that all of them had been disfigured in some way. Either had had a hand cut off very recently, or one of their eyes removed. A dark, ominous chant began to emerge from the mouths of the wizards, and one of them pulled out a scroll and began muttering a different incantation in an unknown dark language. The runes on the paper began to glow, and the sky opened up, and 4 meteors fell from the sky, shattering majority of the city, sending people into chaos. The party sprang into action, trying to minimize damage and save as many lives as they could, as well as battling this unknown threat. Well, it was known, but from there, the party also split up to try to find the remaining red wizards that were not accounted for, and through various investigations and dice rolls, they determined that they had fled to a different continent, the city of Stormpoint on the continent of Ildrassil, hundreds of miles away. For Stormpoint of Ildrassil had a dark past. A long time ago, before the 100 Centuries War, on the Stormpoint is at a point in the city or on the continent where it borders a region of land known as the Giant's Coast. And the Giant's Coast was known for being giants living there, of course. And one day at Stormpoint, the city was overtaken and overran by giants. The humans and elves and halflings of Stormpoint did not stand a chance. There was one wizard, a necromancer, in his tower on the edge of the city, overlooking the sea, looking down at the city as he watched the people he knew be slaughtered, and so he decided to cast a spell. He rose an army of the dead those that he watched the giants slay, and even the giants that had already been slain in the past were risen up again and overtook the giants that had taken his once great city. However, what he did could not be undone. The effects of the spell and what he had did and the access to these dark magics corrupted the wizard's mind. The necromancer laid in this city and extended his life unnaturally for many years until an order of paladins came in and cleansed the city. These paladins were the first order of fucking around and finding out. The party traveled to the city of Stormpoint, where they were immediately greeted by a rather dirty city, where the reputation of the city has tainted it. Whether it be a place to live or not, many people do not wish to live in a city with such a dark reputation. And even so, many people still take that superstition seriously, and the new leadership has even outright forbade magic in the city because of the city's past. However, through some time investigating, they were able to determine that magic was being used somewhere in the city. And just then, as they were having a conversation, trying to deduce where this could possibly be coming from, they heard a rumbling coming from a cemetery inside of the village. As they all rush out to investigate, they begin to see an army of undead crawl forth and out from the graveyard, and they saw these two massive blue hands push out from underneath the stone of the city. This body, the body that was resurrecting itself, was strong enough to be pushed through the stone, and old enough that the stone was not there when it had previously died, and a massive undead giant rose up from the ground, and a battle ensued again, trying to save what people were inside the city. As many of the undead lay before them, they heard a familiar laugh, a voice that they had not heard in some time, not since the death of Navana Darkmoor. And they look up and they see floating towards them, laughing with a massive red gemstone in her head, what appeared to be Navana Darkmoor. Again, the party did battle with this sworn enemy, only to discover after slaying her what they thought, again, was a simulacrum, and not her true self again. And who knows how many more of these other duplicates she has wandering throughout the world. That was where we left off last time. I'm really excited to see what happens next week in the story, and I'm excited to have everybody along the journey for us. Yeah, I'm very excited. Shout out to... They're technically not sponsors of the show, but I just wanted to go ahead and say real quick, shout out to Tailspire, shout out to D&D Beyond. Those are two of the bigger tools, and Discord. D&D Beyond, Discord, and Tailspire. Those are some of the tools that we use to keep our game going, that we've been using ever since the story started last year. Tailspire is an awesome map-making tool for your games. There's a dice rolling mechanic in there. There's hundreds of different slabs and pieces that you can use to create whatever you want. Customizability is crazy, and there's a bunch of other online tools to help you with that. There's a huge online community. If you check out TalesTavern.com, is an awesome website where a bunch of creatives have gone in and created whole boards and slabs that you can just throw into your own game, or you can just take bits and pieces of whatever you want. Tailspire is an awesome mechanic where it has music built in as well, with awesome effects modifiers and effects icons and things like that. There's a lot of great things to fully immerse your game in an online setting, so I definitely recommend checking out Tailspire. It is available on Steam, so make sure you give them a chance. Check out D&D Beyond, obviously. D&D Beyond is where we all use. It's where I run my initiative on. It's where it's where the campaign started. It's what we all use for our character sheets and monster stats. Yeah, check out D&D Beyond. They're awesome. But don't forget to check out and support your local gaming stores and local game creators as well. And also Discord, obviously, because that's what we used to talk in every week. But very excited to get this up and going. Hopefully here in the next couple of days, I would love to get some, like a Reddit started and all of our other social media accounts up and going. I'm very excited to see where this journey goes, you know? It's only the first start, and I'm excited to see where we all go together. So I think that's going to be the wrap-up, the official wrap-up for our quote-unquote Session 0 character introduction. I hope I didn't forget anything. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for everybody to be a part of this journey with us. Like I was saying a while ago, this journey is going to start a little bit later than most campaigns start, or at least in this capacity. It's not really starting, but where you guys are picking up at, we're already level 14. So it is going to start. You guys are going to get we are going to get started at kind of at the later levels of D&D, but I'm still very excited. Hopefully we can keep this going for a long time, keep this story going, because I love these characters, I love these people that I'm playing with. I hope you guys love them as much as I do when we get started. Don't forget to love yourselves, don't forget to love each other, and I guess I need to come up with an end phrase, but I guess I'll see you guys on Tuesday.